Hello and welcome to Brimwood Farm. It's a cold but very sunny day here, and in fact back home in our house it was the first major frost of the year today, and it really put pay to the dahlias. I went out and the dahlias had finally wilted. But this time of the year and the oncoming winter is the perfect time to get stuff done on the farm. So infrastructure wise, setting up chicken coops, planning out the market farm garden, and today planting trees. So trees are obviously naturally dormant during the winter periods, so it's the best time to put them in. So we are making a start getting our woodland begun. It's only 1:30 and you can see the light is fading already, so we're going to crack on. I'm going to show you what I've got in my wheelbarrow, and then we're going to get onto site. So here's my little rickety wheelbarrow. I've taken some big trees over to the site already, and I'm just taking the rest of this. So these are the trees. A couple of weeks ago, you remember I did these arrived in the post. They have been sat in the garden. They haven't been in this box the whole time because they would be dead. They've been sat in the garden. I've just reused this box because it's a very easy box to repurpose and bring them up to the farm in. And then these are the tree supports. I would have loved to have had completely eco-friendly, biodegradable, non-plastic eco tree supports. Unfortunately, I just couldn't afford it, and they were going to end up more expensive than the trees themselves. So we've got bamboo canes, which will be the supports, and then they can be used in the future. And then we've got plastic supports. They're from a company called Green Tech, and they do offer biodegradable tree supports. If you're looking for a few, that's a good place to look. So we've got these longer spiral ones. They're not proper cones all the way up. These are spirals that just kind of whip around the trees. So we've got some big ones for my bigger plants that I've got, and then underneath here you'll see just in here there is a box here, and that's got the majority of the tiny spirals in, because remember the trees are only about 20 to 30 centimeters big at the moment, so I only needed a few. So let's wheel this lot into site. It doesn't seem a long way, and then you start taking everything over there and it's miles away. So we're going right over there, which again probably doesn't seem very far away to you guys. When you've got a wheelbarrow on an unsteady surface, it is quite a long way away. These are our bigger trees that have been in the garden. So some of these have been sent by you guys, a couple of them have been potted up and sent by friends. For the ease of bringing them, I took them all out of their pots, and they are just in root balls now in the bottom of this bag. I'm going to get these ones in first. So these ones I'll definitely get in today. And I'm going to use these ones to kind of do the outline of the what am I trying to say? Of the woodland. So our woodland runs down here, and then we're bringing it out across the bottom of this field. So I'm going to use these trees to create that first initial barrier, and then we'll start to infill behind. But that'll create kind of the square rectangular space that we're going to be filling. So I'm going to try and get everything over there, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about how I'm planting it, because I'm not doing the normal of straight lines. Well, we gave up trying to push that wheelbarrow because it was absolutely pointless, and it kept falling over. So we carried everything down here. So we've got all of our bamboo canes, our twigs, our little trees down here, our slightly bigger saplings. And then what we are thinking of doing is creating a boundary line from here. It'll run straight across in a straight line over to there. So that will kind of forest this side and wildflower meadow this side. However, I am not doing it in the normal straight line kind of thing. Lots of people do plant woodland and hedges and things like that, but I prefer to do it a bit more creatively. To create more biodiversity and more habitat. Different species like different things. So some want to live on the periphery of a woodland, some prefer clumps of trees, some prefer a big singular tree. So we're going to get this first set line done, and then we're going to kind of just create groves and clumps and solitary trees, depending also on the tree species. So little species like rowan and things can be clumped more closely together with holly, whereas your oaks want to kind of be further apart from each other so they can actually mature and spread into those beautiful trees. And the other really kind of geeky side of me is, some of you know that I actually am also a fiction author, and I've written a few books in my time, and one of the books is a kind of a fantasy horror, and in that book Woodland features as a major kind of entity, and within that wood there are 3 glades, consecutive circular glades, and I actually want to recreate that here because I thought it would just be a fun thing for me to do. And you never know, maybe some people that have read my books in the past might come down and to the farm in the future and see these little glades and be like, oh, I remember this from the books. So we're going to create these kind of 3 glades somewhere in this area, and then probably we'll delineate a couple of paths as well. So you can walk through the woodland any way you want, but we'll kind of just delineate with trees a couple of pathways through that you would naturally take. But I want it to be so that when it is, you know, in 30-40 years, when it's a proper woodland, you can kind of come in, you can sit in the glades, and obviously in the glades there'll be more light, so it creates more biodiversity there. So you get things like bracken and gorse and foxgloves and bits of grass areas, which will obviously benefit species that want to live in that kind of environment rather than an actual thick forest. So I think we've got a lot of trees. We're going to work on a spacing at the front of about 2 meters apart, because we can always infill later, but I'd rather go more spacious than too tightly knit, and end up stunting the tree growth. Well, obviously we won't use this meter rule for every single one, it's just to give us a guide. I've quickly popped in one of the little trees here, so you can see how tiny they are. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop them in to the ground, and then Sard is going to come behind me and stake and put the protector on, because we've got a lot of trees to do and we haven't got a lot of time. So I think we'll start with these bigger ones and then we'll see how we go. We're really also lucky at this time of year because there's been a lot of rainfall, so the ground is nice and moist and easy to dig. So that should definitely help us. I reckon. So basically, these are our spirals. They mean that also as the tree grows, these will get bigger, so they won't trap the tree. They've also got ventilation holes in them. As I said earlier, they aren't biodegradable, unfortunately, but we have to use what we use, and then hopefully we can use these in the future. So I think hopefully we can literally one tree done. About 1 million to do. So this is a special little tree. This is one goat willow, one of 15, and this is for Julie, one of my patrons, who has donated on Patreon as one of my tree huggers, and so she gets to sponsor a tree. So this is for you, Julie. This will be going in, and then over the coming months and years you will get updates on this very nice little plant as it grows into a huge and beautiful tree, hopefully. It's also right at the front of the woodland, which is quite nice. So whenever you enter this field, you will see this tree. Now for Patreons who are thinking about the tree hugger option, you'll get updates. I will also put a sign here eventually with Julie's name on it, saying that she has patronised us with this tree. And there will also be a plan going on Patreon of this entire area, every single tree, what the type is and what you can sponsor. Let's go and get it a little tree support. fading, and I've got in just over 70 trees so far, and I've realised I have way too few trees. As with everything on the farm, I've completely underestimated the space. So we've done the first line, which runs from there all the way along there. That is just 57 trees. So on its own, that's 57 trees. We're probably looking, in that case, at, rather than the 500 trees that I thought, more like 2,500. So guys in the UK, please start sowing some tree seeds for me so you can send them, because I can't afford 2,500 more trees. But as I say, the light is fading. I'm going to come back, I'm going to do all the rest of the trees tomorrow, see how far they fill this area. We have done one of the circles. So we've got one of the circles here. You can barely see it, but you can just about see the things. We've left an entranceway here, an exit way there, and they're slightly more clumped together in the glade because they're rowan, hazel and dogwood, which I thought would be a really pretty mix, especially come autumn. The rowan and those dogwoods will turn this bright red yellow colour, so these glades will be gorgeous. And they're also smaller trees. So it doesn't matter that they're kind of closer together. But as I say, getting dark. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea, bit of a nap at my parents' overnight, and then come back in the morning ready to start afresh. Well, one blissful sleep and one flat tire later, I'm back and I have finished planting. Sard is up at the house site with our architects, just having a quick meeting. I have finished planting, and as you can see, there are lots of holes amongst the trees because I do not have enough trees to fill everything. I've been a little bit creative with the planting. I cannot help it. So I have done, there's three groves that I've talked about, and I've started delineating the first pathway through. Now the pathway is not going to be pristine, so I'm not trying to recreate like an avenue of trees. I want it to be more natural looking. So I'll make this pathway kind of twisty and windy, and then obviously as the trees grow as well, you'll have the undergrowth of the bracken, gorse and things growing. And then in the far corner over there, I'm going to plant one of those pine trees, and in the future I want there to just be this huge pine tree surrounded in, I've done them in willow, and it's going to be a secret grove, so there's not going to be a path to it. It's just going to be this secretive place that you might find if you head in that direction. You know, something like the weirwood or something in Game of Thrones. I think when you're planting, when you're doing things like this with the landscape, why not make it fun? Why not put a bit of storytelling into it for the future? So that's what I've done. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. I cannot wait to see how this looks over the coming years. And some trees, especially things like rowan, grow really fast, so it won't be many years before actually we get some proper sort of trees, saplings down here. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you've liked it, please consider subscribing and hit that thumbs up button. If you're on Facebook, feel free to come and join us at Brimwood Farm's community group. But for now, I'm going to go and have a cup of tea, and I shall see you next time. Bye bye.